Hello, welcome back to Art Club, you guys. So good to see you. We've got another day of fun planned and ready to go. So we are going to be finishing our project from yesterday that had to dry, and then we're going to be starting a new project today. But of course, then we need to let that dry so we can finish that one tomorrow. So with painting, we always kind of need to plan it out, so it's kind of like half and half each day. But here we go. So our first step is we have these beautifully painted ice cream scoops from yesterday, plus our cone and the cherry on top if you wanted to. Our very first step is going to be to take the time to cut these all out just like this. Whoop, and have those ready to go. Now if you need to pause this video in order to get all of your ice cream cone scoops, your cherry and your cone cut out, feel free to pause this or rewind it, whatever works best. But whenever you are ready and you've got everything cut out, you're going to go ahead and grab a glue stick and begin to glue them down from the bottom up. So I'm going to move these off to the side. So we'll start, of course, with the cone, right? We always got to start with that cone. So we'll glue that down first. Make sure as you are, oh, my glue stick does not want to open. Make sure as you are gluing it down, we get all the way to those edges, so those edges don't curl up on us. We don't want that to happen, right? So all the way to those edges, and boop, there we go. We've got our cone down. Then we are going to go from the darkest to the lightest. So I'm going to start, so I'm kind of ordering mine up over here. There we go. I'm going to start with my shade here. So there is my shade ice cream scoop. We're going to layer that right on top of the cone. Next, you're going to look at your tone and your hue. So depending on the color you chose, it could almost go either way. So depending on how dark of a tone you had for yours, I feel like for mine it's going to work better with the hue on the bottom. But if you have a lighter color, my color is pretty dark. So for me, when I did the tone, having that white and the gray actually helped make it a little bit lighter looking. So I'm going to put that one on top of the hue. But look at yours and just see, what do you think makes it look like it's going from dark to light best, and go that way. So I'm going to do my tone next. Once again, we're just going from darkest on bottom to lightest on top. Here we go. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is making me hungry. Oh, now I'm going to have to get some ice cream again today. Actually, to be fair, I didn't eat it yesterday, so you know, I suppose yesterday I wanted it, but we didn't have any, and I didn't make any. I was too tired. All right, there we go. And then, of course, the lightest scoop is going right on top. So getting that one on here last but not least. Our lightest tint, boop, right on top. Oh my goodness. This would definitely give me a tummy ache if I ate that much ice cream, but it still looks good. All right, and of course, if you want to add it, go ahead and throw that little cherry on top, right? I actually don't really like cherries on top of my ice cream, but it looks cute, so it goes on top anyway. And there we have it. Don't forget, once you've got this done, you guys, you can go on into our Hall of Fame. So looking down here where it says optional in that box, share it to the Hall of Fame. When I click on that, it's going to take me on into the Hall of Fame. And I am simply going to claim a frame by putting in my name right down below. And then it takes like 5 seconds. So watch this. You're going to come up above to where it says Insert Image, and then just choose the camera one right over there. Boop, boop, boop. And it'll pull up your camera from your Chromebook, and just hold that right on up, and it'll take a picture of it. It'll insert it right into the slide, so you can adjust it then once it's in the slide if you need to crop it or make it bigger or smaller. But it'll pop right on in there. So just so you are aware too, in case you didn't already know, we will be having an end of the year art show for our VA, and only pictures that are in our Hall of Fame will make it into that art show. So be sure, if you're willing and able, to share your artwork in our Hall of Fame. All right, let's move on to the next half of our project today. So if you can kind of see this picture I'm holding on my lap there, that's just one example of what this could look like when it's done. Today we're going to be painting the background colors, okay? So we're not doing the black at all today. That's going to come next class once our background has dried. But for today, we got to get those concentric circles from lightest to darkest. We got to get that happening. So go ahead and choose which color you would like to do for this. Yours does not have to be an underwater scene. In fact, if you see the one that I've started so far, I think mine might be more like a safari type, I don't know, like this beautiful radiating sunset is what I'm kind of thinking for this example. So take a look at the colors you have and choose the one that you would like to use the most. So we're going to grab out a fresh piece of paper. I'll show you guys right from the beginning. And we are going to draw a total of 4 lines, I should say 4 circular lines, making concentric circles. So if you've ever heard of the word concentric, maybe you're like, what is she talking about now, right? So concentric circles are just simply circles that are inside of each other. So if you've ever thrown a rock into the water, you've probably seen that ripple effect. Those are concentric circles. So I'm simply going to take and very lightly, because we don't want the pencil to show through once we get to painting. Now I'm going to have to draw a little darker on here just so you can see it on the camera. But for yours, draw very lightly, and I'm going to draw a circle in the middle, like that. So that's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. And we're going to go for 4. Now you're going to notice 4 is probably going to go off the edges of the sides, and that is okay. If it doesn't, that's okay. If it does, also okay. We're all good. So here we go. My 4th one goes off the edge there. Let's see, it would probably pick up around here. And boom. There we go. So I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 concentric circles drawn, and that leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to paint in. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go from lightest to darkest. So pick whatever color you'd like, and we are going to also need white today. We're going to do varying tints for this one. So I've got my paintbrush I'm cleaning off over here, and of course, since we're doing tints, we know that the white is always going to be the lightest, isn't it? So when we're mixing, we always want to put the lightest one in first. So here we go. And I know I'm going to be painting a lot, so I'm going to add a lot of paint. That's like about twice as much as I normally start off with. So I'm going to use a lot of it, and I'm going to put my color. I am using a crimson red today. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more, because once again, I know I'm painting this whole piece of paper, so I know I will be using that up. All right, now that I've got those 2 colors on there, I am going to start off with the center, which is the lightest. So I'm only going to take, well, even that might be too much. I'm going to take the tiniest amount of my color and add it to the white to make the lightest tint that we'll be making today, and that's going to go in that center circle. So once you've got that good and mixed up, I think I might need to mix it just a smidge more. There we go. And we're going to paint in that center circle. Oh, I can see that actually it needed to be mixed a little bit more. There's a little bit of red at the top of my paintbrush. But we'll just kind of, oh my goodness, it's not wanting to blend very well. Grab a little bit more from over here. There we go. You don't want it to look streaky at all. That was looking a little streaky to start. All right, I've got the center one. Now I'm going to make a little darker tint. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of that red and add it to Maybe a little bit more yet. Mix it on up. And you can see I've got a little bit darker of a tint. It's still a tint though, right? Because I'm still using white to mix with my original hue. I know that's going to dry darker. I'm going to add a little bit more yet though. I want to make sure we see a decent difference in those. So adding a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Now by the time this one dries, because paint always dries darker than when it's wet, so that's looking better. Alright, go ahead and paint all the way around, making sure to cover that line up completely, because we don't want to see the lines on the outside. We don't want to see those pencil marks. So there we go. And I'm going to go kind of quickly here. You guys feel free to take your time if you need to pause the video at any point to take a little more time with yours. You go right ahead. We're going to keep on going, guys. We're going to add a bit more of my color to the white tint that I've got already. We just keep on darkening it as we get towards the edges. And if you need to add in more paint, maybe it's running a little bit low, that is totally okay. Just make sure that each circle, as it goes out, gets a little bit darker than the last one. There we go. Oh my goodness, look at how beautiful these colors are. I just love it. Kind of like a terracotta pink here. It's beautiful. Go all the way around to this side. Notice I'm turning my paper too as I'm painting. I want to make sure and I've got my sleeve rolled up a bit, but that's as far as my sleeve is going today. So turning my paper. I don't want to get my cool RVA hoodie full of paint, so I'm being extra careful as I paint not to set my arm down in it, not to get my shirt dirty. Alright, now we'll rotate it one more time. Hopefully we'll do the trick. Let's see. Trying to smooth out those lines. And get that outer edge as well. Get a little bit more. My paintbrush almost had enough, but it kind of ran out at the last second there. Alright, time for the next layer. And I'm noticing I'm getting a little low on my white here. So although I'm going to be adding more red, this is a bigger circle. Every circle is getting bigger and bigger, right? So I'm going to add a little bit more of my white paint as well, just to make sure that I'm going to have enough for this next layer. So let's mix it up. I just have to make sure it's darker. As long as it's darker, we're good to go. It looks like it's a little bit darker, but I'm going to add just a bit more of the red. Actually, we'll just go with all of it, because my next one is going to be the plain hue anyway, so we might as well use all of that up and get it nice and dark. Let's see how that's looking by comparison. Is that looking dark enough? Can we tell the difference? I'm going to add a little bit more. Where did that go? Because I feel like those two are still a little too close, right? So I'm going to darken up as it dries, but the other one's still pretty wet as well, so I just want to make sure that we can see a clear difference between the two. Here we go. Now we're starting to see it. Now we've got that nice and mixed up. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Now we can see more of that difference. Paint that one. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. This is so reminding me of just like a gorgeous, gorgeous sunset. So I think mine might end up being more like a sky scene than a water scene when I'm planning it out for tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see how I'm inspired as this progresses. We shall see. And then my outermost one is going to be just that pure hue as it comes straight out of the tube. So for that one, we're not going to have to do any more mixing. This is the last one that we've mixed with, but it's gotten really nice and dark, as you can see. All right? Get those inner layers first. Hopefully yours are turning out just as beautiful. I am sure they are. I can't wait to see what colors you've all chosen too. It's always fun to see. We all get the same basic instructions, but as artists, you know, we all take it in our own way, don't we? So we all tend to put our own creative touch on it. And I think that's the cool thing about art, is that even though we all might know the same set of directions, they all turn out so unique and different. And that's one of my favorite things too about getting to see your work in the Hall of Fame, because sometimes during our club time, you know, we don't get a chance to see the finished product. So getting to go into that Hall of Fame and see how everything turned out and what yours ended up looking like, that is like one of my favorite things. It's so fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy being able to share your artwork too with others. You should always be proud, right? We're learning, we're growing, we're creating, and you should be proud of that. All right, so now that I've got my fourth circle done, we're going to do that background. Whoop. So with this one, I am going to be using my hue straight out of the tube. No need to mix anymore. So now I don't need to worry about if I have enough or not. So you guys can do the same thing. Go ahead and with that last outer area, grab your hue straight out of the tube. Begin painting the last bit of this. And then we want to let this dry for next class. If you, in the meantime, want to start thinking about, do I want to be using my black paint tomorrow and some of those small paint brushes, or would I prefer to use a Sharpie and have that ready to go for next class? Maybe you like the precision you can get out of using a marker versus painting. That's totally okay. Either way, it's going to end up having that same effect of the black silhouette on our cool tinted background. So start dreaming up what kind of scene you might want to have for your images here, and come prepared to have some more fun tomorrow. We'll see you then.